Good morning and welcome to the last daf of Maseches Megillah, daf Lamed Beis number 32. Lamed Beis is Lev. It's also the backwards of the first letter in the Torah and the last letter in the Torah. The first letter of the Torah is a Beis. The last letter in the Torah is a Lamed. So backwards is Lev. Some pointed out, but if you go forwards, it's Baal. Beis Lamed, which is my name, and Seal Lang. Like that one? It's cute, right? All right. I have my Glenlivet. Let's see how much we have left. I'm drinking the whole, if you've been following my share, I've been drinking a half a shot every day. Not every day, it's only when I have people that are with me. We finished about half the bottle. How many milliliters is in here? 700 milliliters. We finished about 350 milliliters. Even if no one does, even if no one is part of my share today, I'm going to drink because it's a siyum and it's the end. All right, we're going to start from the bottom of Lamed Aleph and Beis. Oh, well, we have a big chiddush today, truth from the daf. I don't know if you really call these chidushim truth from the daf, but something practical advice, hashkafic advice. Could be more important than halacha itself. All right, we're about 5 lines from the bottom of Lamed Aleph and Beis. Tana Rabbanan, Makom shemafsikim b'Shabbos, Shachris, Sham Kor Mincha. Right, the place where they stop reading the 7 aliyahs on Shabbos, the end of the parsha is at Mincha on Shabbos. You start reading the next parsha. Like this week, we started reading B'Shalach, the last Mincha on Shabbos. But Mincha Sham Koren B'Sheni. So when you read 3 aliyahs from Rishon of B'Shalach, so then on Monday you read from the end of those, the end of Rishon. Yes, Sheni you'd read. B'Sheni Sham Koren B'Chamishi, where you stop on Sheni, according to this day. You read on Shlishi of the coming parsha, on Chamishi, B'Chamishi, whenever they stop on Chamishi, Sham Koren L'Shabbos Haba, then they read the remainder of the parsha on the following Shabbos. You don't read the entire parsha to B'Shalach. Divrei Rei Meir, that's Rei Meir says, Rehuda Omer, this is how we pass, Makom Shemavstikim B'Shabbos Shachris, the place where you stop, the end of parsha is Bo, Sham Koren B'Mincha, B'Sheni, B'Chamishi, L'Shabbos Haba. That is where you start. You start from Parshat B'Shalach all 3 times, all Shabbos Mincha, and all 4 times, and Monday, Thursday, and the following Shabbos. Amar B'Zer Alacha, Makon Shosikim B'Shabbos Shachar, Sham Karim B'Mincha, B'Sheni B'Chamishi L'Shana Haba. B'Zer basically says the halacha follows the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. So the answer is V'leim Halacha Rabbi Yehuda. Just say simpler. Halacha follows Rabbi Yehuda. That is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Top of Lamed Beis and Aleph, the Gemara says Mishum da'afchilhu, because there are some that switch the opinion. Some say that the first opinion is Rabbi Yehuda, and the second opinion we follow like Rabbi Meir. So therefore, since some people switched it around, so therefore we had to say exactly mafurish what the halacha is. Tana Rabbanan, poseach v'roa golel u'mavarech v'chozer poseach v'korei divrei Rabbi Meir. When you get an aliyah, you open up to the aliyah. You see the word where you're supposed to start. Doesn't say you kiss it with the tzitzis, but some people kiss it with their talis. Then you roll up the Torah. Then you make the brichas at Torah. Then you open and you read according to Rabbi Meir. You see the place and you make the bracha without rolling it up. But Korei, my time with Rabbi Meir. What's Rabbi Meir's reason? They have to roll it up first. Keda'ula before you make the bracha. Da'amar ula nema amru akor b'Torah l'sayel maturgaman. Someone who's reading the Torah shouldn't help out, shouldn't tell the Turgamon the proper translation, the proper onkelos, the proper English, if he's doing a translation in English. Targum calls to a Torah. People are going to say that there's English or there's Aramaic written in the Torah. Similarly, over here, if he's looking in the Torah when he's making the brachos, people are going to say there's brachos written in the Torah. That's not true. We know you can't add on to the Torah anything. For Yehuda, what would he answer? Targum ikal lamiti. Targum, people can make a mistake. They'll say, oh, there's a translation in the Torah. Brachos like a lamiti. No one's going to assume the brachos are written in the Torah. Amar Zero Rav Marav Masna Allah Poseh Varah Mavarech V'Korei. Allah is you don't roll up the Sefer Torah. I know there's plenty of people. Most people who get aliyahs actually do roll up the Sefer Torah before they make the bracha. This is not the halacha. You are adding on to the Torah by doing that. You're again doing against the halacha. Really, you're supposed to open it up, see the place, make the bracha, and read the Torah. So the Gemara says, "V'leim halacha Rabbi Yehuda." Just say the halacha simply is like Rabbi Yehuda. Mishum de'apik, like we said before, some say that Rabbi Meir is really the one who says that you open it up and you leave it open when you make the brachas. Amar Rav Zera, Amar Rav Masna, haluchos v'abimos emem mishum kedusha. The luchos and the bimos no kedusha. What are the luchos of the bima? The bima, you know what a bima is. It's a place where people stand. A lot of shuls, including this shul, Bnei Yeshivas, they have an elevated bima. People who read the Torah, they stand on. Luchos doesn't say what luchos are. Our school is not really sure. If you see a lot of the, I'll show it to you actually, we have here in this base madrash, Ezras Nashir, you see over here, see on top of the aron is luchos. Luchos. A lot of shuls have the luchos on top. There is no kedusha, even though the aron has kedusha. Let's get this back here. 1 second. Even though the aron itself, sorry about that. Even though the aron itself has kedusha, the luchos on top do not have kedusha because they're not really part of the aron. Okay. Kedusha. Amar Rav Shaftia, and you don't have to put them in Geniza. Amar Rav Shaftia, Amar Rav Yochanan Agol, Sefer Torah, Sarach Shev Nein Al Tefer. People who know this, when they do Galila or you're doing Hagbah, you have to make sure and then when you roll the Sefer Torah after Galila, or when you're doing Galila, that you should, the stitches, the place where the pages are attached in the Sefer Torah, the cloth is attached, that should be in the middle. It should be, that's why if it rips the Sefer Torah, it'll rip along the Tfar and not rip the words of the Sefer Torah. You, right? We know when you do Galila, you stand outside behind the Sefer Torah and you roll it together. When you mahadko, when you put that, the vimple, I think it's called, in the Yakasha communities, you put the vimple, the band around the Torah to keep it tight, that you do mibifnim. You do, the place where it hooks together should be on the inside of the Torah, not on the outside of the Torah. This is my own explanation in the Gemara. I think our school, maybe Rashi, will give you a different explanation on when you're mishing the Sefer Torah and you're rolling the Sefer Torah. This is the Galila, is talking about the Galila, and this is really true that people stand outside from the Sefer Torah, stand behind the Sefer Torah, and when you're Mahadik, when you put the vimple, you lock the lock or whatever instrument is used to tie the band together, you do that from the inside of the Sefer Torah. I believe really that the Gemara really talks to every generation, and it applied back then, and it applies equally now. This is what we do now, so you have to find what we do now in the Torah. Amar of Shaftia, Amar of Yochanan, Sarah Shakar of Torah, Godel Shem Gol Sefer Torah. Even if 10 people read the Sefer Torah, who is the one that gets the zechus of being Gol Sefer Torah? The great one, the biggest person among them. I mean, the oldest, the most chashuv, I don't know. Agolo, Notel Skar Kul, and also the one who rolls the Sefer Torah, or does Hagbah, rolls it, he gets the schar of all of the people that were all into the Torah. And he gets the schar of all of them. Schar Kul and Zagadaita. The Gemara says it's possible that all the other people lose their schar. For reading the Sefer Torah, he gets all their schar. Ela Ema Kibel Schar Keneged Kulan. He gets schar equal. They get 10 people. He gets a schar equal to that of 10 people. Amrav Shafti, Amrav Yochanan, Minayin Shem Sham Shem Baskol. How do you know you rely on a baskol? What is a baskol? We'll talk about that in a second. Your ears will hear something from behind you. Lamor saying to you, this is talking when you hear the word of a man in the city and the voice of a woman in the field. You can only trust the baskol if it says yes, yes, it says yes emphatically, or it says no emphatically. Now, what is a baskol? This leads us to truth from the Daf Megillah, Daf Lamed Beis 32. There's a concept in Hashkafa or Balei Musar talk about a cheshbon and nefesh. I don't know if anyone knows what a cheshbon nefesh is if you're not part of the yeshiva system, but a cheshbon nefesh basically is a recounting, usually done either twice a day or at night before you go to sleep, where you recount all the days, all the actions that you did during the day, and decide whether you acted correctly or you did not act correctly, what you could have regret over what you did wrong, and what you could look to improve for the following day. Well, look what you did good to continue doing it, and look what you did wrong to avoid doing it and to have remorse over what you did. That is called cheshbon hanefesh. It's a popular concept in yeshivas. How do you do cheshbon nefesh? Where do you find the answers for what's right and what's wrong? There's so many things that we do, right? Like for example, I give a shir in Daf Yomi on YouTube. Is it the right thing or the wrong thing? I mean, there's no halacha about this. I mean, it's a mitzvah to give a shir, but I mean, or the fact of what I include in my shir. There's so many details. Do I include truth from the daf? Do I not include truth from the daf? Do I talk about cheshbon nefesh? Do I not talk about cheshbon nefesh? Do I drink a coffee when I'm giving the daf? Do I drink Glenlivet when I'm giving the daf? I mean, there's so many things that you can figure out and try to ask cheshbon nefesh. They say people make 20,000 decisions a day. Every day you have to decide on 20,000 things. That's a lot of decisions. Now, most people can't remember all the 20,000 decisions on the main cheshbon nefesh, but if you want to find out the truth, whether it is appropriate or not, if it's a halachic question, you can ask a rabbi, and you can find out what's the proper halacha, and that you can rely on. But if it's a hashkafic issue or something that's in the gray area of something that's not halacha, but rather falls into hashkafa, what's the right answer, what's the wrong answer? And that is where Baskol comes in. Baskol is not a heavenly voice. Baskol is, there is a concept. People look at people who talk to themselves in a very derogatory way. They look at them as, weird people or, crazy people. But really, that is the way you do cheshbon nefesh. You talk to yourself. You ask yourself. Try asking yourself. Ask yourself, did I do the right thing? And you know what? A lot of times, inside a person, it'll tell them the answer. That's a baskol. It'll say yes or no, and it's emphatic. If it tries telling you stories and telling you, you have to work on this, and you're a really bad person, and you should go and you should fast for 40 days. You don't listen to it. But if it says emphatically yes or no, that's what he said in the masa in the city. It sounds like the voice of a man. When you're engaged in business or in the city, so it has this voice inside of you has the sound of a man. When you're in more leisurely activities, it has the sound of a woman. Whatever it is, it's a baskol. It's there to guide you, and it's really included in what the Torah says. So it's very easy to do this cheshbon nefesh, to do the right thing, to make these right decisions, to find out if you made the right decision. You have to talk to your baskol, and your baskol is part of your lave, is part of your spiritual lave, and that baskol will answer you and will tell you and will guide you what the right way is, until one day you'll be so perfected in the cheshbon nefesh that you'll know innately from yourself. Baskol is not really yourself; it's just a means of assisting you. But one day you'll know what you really want and what you really deserve. And really, the answers to all the questions of cheshbon nefesh that are not halachic questions are really, what do I want from life? What do I want? What do I enjoy? What do I want from life? What do I really want? Deep down inside of you, what I really want. And that is really the truth of a person. That's his real personality. To find out, what do I really want? If you do the cheshbon nefesh for a number of years, enough years, and you listen to the baskol, you should listen to the baskol. It says in the Gemara, we rely on it. Eventually you'll come to that realization that you'll do what I really want to do, and that is the real you. That is the real person. And then you'll be the king over yourself. All right. The Gemara says, Amar Rav Shafti, Amar Yochanan Kalakara below Neima V'Shona below Zimra Allah V'Kasav Omer V'Gamani Nasati Lahem Chukim L'Tovim. Someone who reads the Torah without a tune, without the trup, I guess, and learns Torah without a nigun. Some people, they learn Torah. Amar Abaye V'Rov, Amar Abaye V'Rov Amar. Right? Allah because of Omer. The Torah says about them. I gave them statutes which aren't good. Hashem's not happy about that. Maskal Abaye asked the question, because he doesn't know, he doesn't have a good voice, or he's not interested in promulgating his voice and disrupting the whole base medrash. It's called Mishpatim Yechyu Bahem, that he doesn't know how to keep the Torah. Karis Bey, I look at it on Masharshia. The pasuk is going on something else. Amar Sheitam in Chamim, Hayoshim Birachas. Let's say you have a city with two rabbis. They're not able to cooperate each other with halacha. This one gives his own kashrus. This one gives his own kashrus certificate. This one gives his own based in. He has his own based in. They don't get along. They don't make a vad. In America, it's common to have a vad, a kashrus. That's a great thing. That's what the Gemara is talking about. That's what the Torah says. If you have a lot of kashrus certifications in a common area, that's a problem. You should get along and have one vad decide the halacha. Anyone who grabs a Sefer Torah, he touches the Sefer, grabs it. It doesn't say he touches it, he grabs it. He's buried arum. He's buried naked. Arum salgadaitach. He's really going to be buried naked. He's buried arum in a spiritual sense. He doesn't get schar for his mitzvahs. Below mitzvahs, he really loses all of his mitzvahs because of one time he held on to the Sefer Torah. Arum below some mitzvah. He doesn't get that mitzvah of presumably Galila. Am Rabbi Yanai Bered Rabbi Yanai Saba Mishmei the Rabbi Yanai Rabba. Okay, so this is Rabbi Yanai the son of Rabbi Yanai Saba. And Yanai Rab, I guess, was the grandfather. They said the name of the grandfather. 3 generations of Yanai Mutav Tigal Lamat Pachas. You see from here over here that they named after Yanai was named after his father and his grandfather. They all have the same name, Rabbi Yanai. So I guess you can name after a living parent or a living grandparent. Could it be? Would this be truth in the Daf part number 2? We see from this Gemara, Yanai Breder of Yanai Saba, Mishmei Yanai Rabba. Sounds like from the Gemara, truth in the Daf part number 2 is that you can name after a living relative. To say that. All right. Mutav Tigal Hamat Pachas Valigal Sefer Torah. It's met better that when you need to touch the Sefer Torah, it's common. You touch it with the matpachas. You touch it with the wimple, or you touch it with the vimple, or you touch it with the band that closes it, and don't touch the actual Sefer Torah. It says in the Mishnah, Moadei Hashem, that you should read the Torah portions that apply to it, each one during its holiday. Moshe was talking to Israel that not only the Kriyas HaTorah, but also the drashas and also the halachic shilas should be Minyano Shal Yom Hilchas Pesach Bezach Chaseres Batzeres Hilchas Chag B'Chag. During Pesach, you should inquire about halachas of Pesach. On Atzeres, halachas of Atzeres. On Sukkot, halachas of Sukkot. I don't know why it's necessary to tell you this. Obviously, you're not going to be during Pesach and asking about, can you build your sukkah under a tree? It wouldn't really make sense to ask about that on Pesach. What exactly was talking to him, and to leave you off with another question is that the Gemara in other places says he's supposed to be shol v'dorish b'nyano shal yom Pesach hilchos Pesach shloshim yom kanal Pesach. Even Gamliel says only 30 days. Shem Gamliel says 30 to 15 days before, 2 weeks before. We passed the Rabbanan 30 days before. So what was Moshe Masakin that on Pesach itself you should be darshan and learn about hilchos Pesach? But Pesach, you already have to learn it 30 days before. We'll leave off with the question. Think about it. You have 7.5 years till we get back to this next daf. We'll see you in Moed Katan, and from one minhag to another minhag, we're going to finish off Maseches Megillah, even though this is the first time I'm drinking actually by myself. We're going to have an entire shot. Because even though it's not Purim today, but it's the last day. It's a Siyos. I'm going to do something extra. Normally have a Chatzi share today, a whole share. Smooth, single malt, the true Scotch. And to bring from one minhag to another minhag. I will let you know that tomorrow, Mir Hashem, we're starting Maseches Moed Katan, which talks about, at least the first part talks about Hilchos Chol HaMoed. What do you do on Chol HaMoed? You go to the zoo. You take your kids to the zoo. This is synonymous, Chol HaMoed, with zoo. That's most people associate think Chol HaMoed, think zoo. To the point some people actually, when they're dreaming on Chol HaMoed, they wake up in the middle of the night and they say zoo, 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 zoo. People also chronically, when they learn Maseches Moed Katan, a lot of times when they say Gam Zu Latova, they leave out the Gam and the Latova. They just say Zu, Zu. Because a bad thing happens to them, they're learning Maseches Moed Katan, they just say Zu, Zu. They don't say Gam Zu Latova, they say Zu. Joking. Anyway, we're going to have animal crackers. Animal crackers, we're going to try to imitate the sounds of the animals. You get prepared, not just for the learning of Maseches Moed Katan, but when you go to the zoo and Chol HaMoed, you'll be prepared to encounter the animals and know which sounds they will make. We'll see you on Moed Katan tomorrow. Mir Hashem. Mazel Tov. I'm Megillah. Bye.